Hey everyone. Missing my first slide. Let's try this. Still missing my first slide. Nope. There we go. All right, cool. Okay, so as product people, I think we all aspire to be data-driven. Data feels concrete, it feels assuring, it feels confident, and we think, if only I can get the right data from the right source, I'll find the right answer. The good news is, as product people, we have access to more sources of data than ever before. But unfortunately, I'm here to deliver a harsh message for all of you data-driven product folks. The reality is, most likely you're still missing out. And the reason why is because most of the teams I talk to, when they say that they're data-driven, really they're talking about quantitative data. And what they're missing is qualitative data, those rich interactions with customers, those one-on-one engagements. And bringing all that together is super important as product people, as we make product decisions every day. The reason why this is important, I want to share with you 3 different reasons why I believe you should be incorporating qualitative data into your product decision making. The first one is better insights. When we make decisions based on quantitative data alone, you're really not getting the full picture. What you're missing, quantitative data is great at helping you understand what your customers are doing, but what it really doesn't tell you is why they're doing it. This reminds me of the story of the blind man and the elephant. Some of you are probably familiar with this story. How many of you have heard this story before? Okay. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll share it briefly. The way the story goes is there's a village and an elephant was brought into the village, and this is a village where nobody knew what an elephant was. And so several blind men came forward and they began touching the elephant and feeling it and describing to everyone else what an elephant was. One man grabbed the tail, he described an elephant to be like a rope. One man felt the leg and described an elephant to be like a tree. The other one, the ear, described an elephant to be like a big fan. And of course, every single one of these was accurate, but of course, neither of them were able to describe completely to everyone what an elephant actually was. And the reason why is they were all working with partial information. Nobody really had the full picture. And so when we make decisions based on quantitative data alone and don't combine qualitative data, we're kind of doing the same thing. It's kind of like having only a piece of the picture and not understanding the entire thing. The second one, better innovation. Qualitative data can help drive better product innovation. To be innovative, we have to think outside the box. We have to, I believe, really understand our customer problems and deeply empathize with those problems using qualitative data. To show what happens when we rely too much on quantitative data to drive innovation, we don't have to look much further than the story of Cherry Sprite. I don't know if many people have heard this one. It was about a year and a half ago. There were all these articles about Coca-Cola and how they were driving product innovation with AI and machine learning and big data. And at the time, in this particular case, most of the information was through usage data on their freestyle machines, and they had this great realization that they should produce Cherry Sprite. And it was great. Cherry Sprite had never existed before, new product on the market, but there was another product that's been around for 30 or so years, plenty of people love it, Cherry 7-Up. Did we really need big data to figure out Cherry Sprite? Did we need AI and machine learning? At any time over the last 30 years, an executive from Coca-Cola could have visited the closest grocery store, walked down the aisle, looked over, and said, I think we should make one of those too. Really, using data helps you improve what you already have within a set of constraints that you're working within. But usually good product innovation requires for you to break outside of those. And typically that requires more than just the quantitative data that you have. The third reason is better storytelling. As product people, we have to do this all the time. We have to convince people of our vision, our strategy, the decisions that we make. And the best product managers out there have a superpower of telling great, compelling stories. And when you pull in qualitative data to share rich stories about your customers, that helps your audience empathize with what your customers are really feeling. Several years ago, NPR ran a special with a guy named Franz de Waal. He's a biologist and primatologist. And in a particular section of this, he was exploring the concept of fairness. And the idea was fairness is a concept that's not unique to us humans. It applies more broadly in the world, and specifically in this case with monkeys. And imagine in this case, DeWall were to explain his findings like this. 9 out of 10 capuchin monkeys prefer grapes over cucumbers as a reward for a task. And so if you have 2 monkeys and they complete a task, you give one a cucumber, you give one a grape. The one that received the cucumber might not think that's fair because he would prefer the grape. He would have rather gotten the grape. Pretty straightforward. Instead, imagine DeWall explained his story like this.
Getting grape and you will see what happens. So she gives a rock to us, that's the task, and we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us, and that's what she does. And she gets a grape, and she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber. She tests the rock now against the wall. She needs to give it to us. And she gets cucumber again.
It's a little bit different, right? The value of bringing qualitative data and emotion into your storytelling helps your audience connect. DeWall said, if I show the data, people are not really convinced. If I show you the emotional reaction, the amount of emotion that goes in there, then people are convinced. So that's all great. Qualitative data helps you uncover better insights, be more innovative, tell better stories. These are all really important things for us as product people. But these are big ideas that are sort of tough to get to. There's really no step-by-step plan to get there. It really requires that you're immersed on a regular basis with those stories from your customers. But what I want to do is help you all think about how do we get there in the meantime, and how do we get started. So what I want to share with you all is a little bit of a hack, and a simple 3-step process that can help you figure out how to build up these customer stories over time. My slides are a bit off, so I'm going to start looking up there. So the way this process goes is really simple. I mentioned earlier that product teams typically are already doing a lot of these quantitative methods on a regular basis. So what I'm going to ask you all to do, and this is something that everyone could start tomorrow, for every time you perform a quantitative method, pair it with a simple qualitative method, out comes a customer story. Nothing magic, really straightforward. Start with a quantitative method you're probably already doing on a regular basis. Find a qualitative method that pairs with it. Do that next. Build a customer story. If you do that consistently over time, you'll find that you'll start to develop that understanding and deep, rich stories of your customers. Now, what I want to do is show a few examples just so everyone can see what this looks like put into practice. Most of the teams that I work with, we follow a pretty basic process for product. We start with understanding the needs of our customer. We work really hard to design a solution that'll meet those needs. We make sure and validate that that's the right solution. Once we're fairly confident, we'll work with our team to plan out how we're going to deliver that to production. We'll build it, we'll ship it out to our customers, and once it's out in front of customers, we'll continue to tweak it until we see the results we're looking for. What I'll do today as I go through these examples is I'll show examples from 3 different parts of this process, hopefully just to give everyone a little bit of breath. So the first one that we'll start with is a jobs to be done survey. For those of you who aren't familiar, if you run a jobs to be done survey, the report looks something like this. The way that it works is you have your customer job, break that down into steps. For each step, you have a series of needs underneath that step, and you survey ideally thousands of customers, and for each need, have them assess how important is that need and how satisfied are they meeting that need with their current solution. Plot all that data on this chart. Typically, what you're looking for is a subset of those respondents that cluster low and to the right. This is a market with underserved needs. The next time that you do this, what I would suggest is actually you pair this with a usability study. Take a subset of those respondents, Have them actually go through the survey while you record a video of them as they take the survey. Not only will this help you improve your survey, you'll figure out where they're getting stuck and how you can word the survey better, but they'll start to talk to you about what those needs actually mean to them, why certain needs are really important, and start sharing stories about how maybe they were let down by their current solution that didn't meet those particular needs. This is all information that's super important as product people as you're making these decisions, but these are things that you're not going to learn in the report that I showed earlier. In the second example, let's talk about pricing surveys. For those of you that are familiar with this is a Van Westendorp pricing sensitivity meter. The way that you get here, it's a series of 4 questions. You start with, at what point is this product so expensive I would no longer pay for it? At what point is this product so cheap I might question the quality of it? At what point is it expensive and I might buy it, but I'm going to have to give it some thought? And at what point would I consider this product to be a bargain? Within the blue range, you get your possible pricing points for your product. The next time you do a pricing survey, what I would suggest is you pair this with a concept test. Take your product idea and lay it out on a landing page or a product page. At the end, include pricing and include the price points that you got from your pricing survey, and actually sit down with potential customers and walk them through your product concept. Get them to react to your product. What you'll start to hear is not only will you get validation on the price points that came out of your survey, but they'll start to talk to you about what their buying process is and how they might budget for a product in that price point. These are all things that as you're pricing your product, really important to understand to come up with good solutions, not things that are going to come out of the report that I showed earlier. In the last example, I want to talk about Net Promoter Score. And love it or hate it, I'm sure many of you are familiar with how this works. You survey a series of customers and you ask them a very simple question. What's the likelihood that you would recommend this product or this company to someone else? Score it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 to 6, you have your detractors. 9 and 10, you have your promoters. In the middle, you have your passives. At the end of that, you get a promoter score. Many companies use the Net Promoter Score to assess and quantify the quality of their experience that they deliver to their customers, and then they use it to benchmark themselves either over time or to others in the industry. The next time you run an NPS survey, really simple. Pair it with a series of live customer interviews. Take a few respondents from the detractor category, take a few from the promoter category, and sit down with them and talk to them about what their experience has been like with your product. What you'll start to hear are the sort of things that actually stand out to people that determine how they assess the quality of their experience with your company or your product. You'll start to hear stories about where they were delighted or disappointed, and get really into what motivates people to either promote or not promote your product to someone else. Again, if you're looking to improve the experience of your product, and specifically if you're looking to improve your NPS score, really important things for you all to understand as product people that are not going to come out of just looking at an NPS report. So fairly straightforward, 3 really simple ideas on how you can take a basic quantitative method, pair it with a qualitative method, do that consistently, and develop customer stories over time. Like I said earlier, all of us want to be data-driven, and I really encourage that. It's a great way to work, but I ask all of you to do it in a way that demonstrates a rich understanding of your customers. The only way to do that is to not do it with quantitative data alone. You have to pair the quantitative data you have with qualitative data to develop a complete picture of what's going on. In his 2017 letter to shareholders, Jeff Bezos said, "Good inventors and designers deeply understand their customers. They study and understand many anecdotes rather than only the averages you'll find on surveys." So as you all go out and make your product decisions day to day, I would invite all of you to behave like good inventors and good designers. Thank you.